Hey, and good afternoon, fasters, online fasters. I'm very impressed that you're all still sticking in. Brilliant. We are here live from Skye.
Hi.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our language around food, about the stories we tell ourselves and how we can switch up our language, because obviously we understand that our cells are listening. And then we're going to do a little bit of vocals sound into the body to help the body let go. Obviously, what we're doing with fasting is we're wanting stuff that's in there out. And when you break the fast tomorrow, because this is the last live that we'll have until, this is the last live we'll have for this retreat. So tomorrow you're probably thinking, what should I eat? And we're going to obviously be catered for by John. So we're pretty lucky. But we were watching Mindy Peltz the other night, and she was saying the 3 Ps. You're looking at polyphenols, prebiotics and probiotics, which is just really vegetables and some protein. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to be having, but there'll be eggs in there, and there'll be legumes, there'll be lots of veggies, and there'll be lots of little sprinkly things to go on top, diversity, fibre. And then obviously you've done all this good work and you want to maintain the feeling. And we've just been discussing here at the Heal In about having breakfast tomorrow and then not having anything else for the rest of the day, which I think is probably going to be quite easy. And then on the Friday, we can go back to eating normally. Or what is normal? This is the thing. So talking about predicting problems, we all know that we have to be organised. We have to get the food that we wish that we eat all the time. We have to get it into the house, into the fridge. And I always say to people now with online shopping, there is no excuse for not having good food in your, well, when I say good food, as good as you can get food in your cupboards. You can get it delivered once or twice a week so that you've always got plenty of vegetables in. I'm a huge fan of soups and the slow cooker and the pressure cooker. So you can just get your slow cooker on and bung everything in it. And I'm not a vegan. I don't recommend a vegan diet for a lot of people. So I would be having some meat in there or some fish, some shellfish or some game. It's up to you. You can fancy dancy it up. But what the big message is diversity, more vegetables, loads and loads of vegetables to go with your meat. If weight loss is an issue, you may want to stay in ketosis, which means that we're burning fat right now. We all are at this stage of the fast. So if you want to stay in ketosis, which is the best way to, the best state, the best fuel to be burning if you want to lose weight, or if you still feel there's toxins in there that need to get burned up, then you would be sticking to fat, protein with a little bit less veg. So it really depends what it is that you're wanting to achieve from this fast. There's nobody in here needs to lose weight. So the ketosis may not be as important, but it's really powerful to know that you can switch fuels. And if you want to drop a few pounds, if you're going on holiday or if it's been creeping on, then it's really powerful to know that you just go and start burning ketones and you will lose weight. Now, carbs, obviously, big thing is the carbs, and they've been demonized. And as a blood group O, I know it's crept back into my diet that shouldn't be there. It's white potatoes. It's also not good for fungus. Potatoes in all their myriad of forms, which I love in every form. I love chips, I love crisps. But white potatoes are not great for blood group O. Again, some white potatoes if you're healthy, etc. No problem. But obviously living with my aunt, she loves mashed potatoes every night and I can't help myself sometimes. So white potatoes. And even back in the 90s, people used to say that, cut out potatoes, and there actually is a lot of, if you're a blood group O, it's a very good idea to do it. Sweet potato, not so bad, but don't eat a mound of it. And so when you're thinking about planning, so you'll definitely have lost weight. How much you've lost, I don't know. We didn't weigh ourselves here, but you can feel it already in your clothes. And if you want to keep on that, then keeping certainly processed carbs, man-made carbs, completely out your diet. If your blood group or you know what blood group you are, keep grains out as well if you want to lose weight and if you've still got toxins. The thing is, in the West, a lot of our excess weight is stored toxicity. So, but slim people can have toxicity too. But at least if you're storing weight, the body's telling you, right, okay, your macros are out of balance, your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. And the first thing, what we understand now is that some bodies can turn protein to glucose. So it's the fats we have to be looking at. So you have to do a little bit of experimenting with your own body. And it's always a good place to start. The guys that have come here, and I'm sure the same with you people at home, it's very much about a reset after New Year. I've just remembered I forgot to change the settings. It's very much about just that kickstart after Christmas and New Year. You know, we eat stuff and drink stuff that probably you wouldn't be drinking most of the year. So it's a really good idea to get back on track. And this is a brilliant way to do that, obviously. So preparation, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. It's so true, and especially when it comes to food. And that's why I like soup, and that's why I like the slow cooker. Because really, you can just open it up and put everything in, put some tomatoes, a bit of tomato puree, pile it all in, and it means when you come home from work, or if you've got kids, etc., coming in, there's food there for you to have. And really, it's as simple as that. Also, with a slow cooker and with the soup pot, you can just empty your fridge when things are starting to get a bit soft. I know you know all this, but I'm just reminding you, it's an absolute no-brainer. And obviously in the winter, when we're basically more hibernation, a lot more dark, and we just don't have the same energy because there's no light. So it's like a very light hibernation state that we go into. And again, don't fight it. You know, maybe you're not get as much energy. You'll find as the light starts to come back in, the weather starts to get warmer, although it was beautiful out there today, wasn't it? That your energy will come back if you're not eating a whole load of shite. So the soups and the stews, whether you've got a slow cooker or not, get one, because they're quite cheap. And then obviously pressure cooker is a really brilliant thing to have, because it means, again, you can just chuck everything in there, especially for legumes. Legumes, a lot of people can't digest them. But the pressure cooker breaks down the ligands within the legumes, and very often if they're pressure cooked, then you can digest them. And ligands are wee buggers, because if you've got a leaky gut, they can get in and get into the bloodstream and they can cause severe painful bloating and allergies. So you may think, and this is the thing now, because so many people's digestive systems are not healthy and functioning well, that foods that traditionally would have been healthy can start causing issues. The nightshade family is a great example of that. I love aubergines and tomatoes. I just can't imagine life without them. But sometimes you have to take these things out for a while. The body's brilliant. You can take things out for a while and then start to slowly reintroduce them. I'm giving you a very quick nutrition talk here. So, looking at what is healthy for you. If you're, again, as much as we possibly can, eating what's in season. It's been great here because we've eaten a lot of Brussels sprouts, which I love, and kale, and that grows pretty much all the year round. Well, not the Brussels sprouts, but kale does. So we've always got that green to add in, and eating in season, eating whole foods. The less humans have mucked about with it, the better. And I know it's really tempting to buy, Marks and Spencer's foods, etc. Well, apart from the fact it's extortionate to shop in there, you need to really read the labels and see what is in there in terms of additives and sugar, etc. So reading your labels and being prepared. John has just been feeding us the most incredible, delicious food that me, as an absolute hardcore carnivore, have not missed. Meat. I had one steak since I've arrived here, but that's the only meat I've had. No, that's a lie. I put prawns into the vegetable curry, that's right. So yeah, so get John's recipes. So tasty, so delicious. And then you can just add them up. You can have a bit of fish at the side or whatever it is that you want. But thinking really primarily, if your body is working well, your digestive system is working well, then your immune system is likely to be working well. And if your digestive system is struggling, and you will know, how will you know if your digestive system is struggling? Low energy, bloating, flatulence, yes, absolutely. Key. Sorry?
Your stool?
Yeah, your bowel movements, absolutely. Anything else? Reflux. Pain. Some people get pain in their digestive system when they eat, because our digestive systems are getting trashed with junk food, alcohol, prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs. Anything that you're putting through there is obviously having an impact in the intestines and all the other organs that are in there, the liver, the good old liver. So I'm not going to spend any time on this live talking about parasites and worms and all the wee critters that maybe have made home in your beautiful body. And I'll do another live on that another time, because I need to get all my stuff out. And we're also doing, when we do the autoimmune and gut microbiome retreat, I'll stream live information out on that and how you find out if you've got if parasites are an issue, and how you can rebalance your body. But what I'll say is, like I've been saying since this healing started, you need to be thinking long term. It's great to come and do a fast, and it's an absolute reboot. There's no doubt about it. But how are you going to maintain your garden? I'm sure you've done that. You've got the garden looking all nice, then the rain and the midges come out, and then it all goes to hell. It's kind of the same with us. You know, we can heal ourselves. I've spent my whole life healing one thing or another. Depression, vaccine damage. I had chronic fatigue for a long time, and then arthritis. So it's never stops because we're a living organism. That's just how it works. And I think we've been kind of, fooled, and it's suited us to believe that diet doesn't matter, faith doesn't matter, community doesn't matter. It's every man for himself. So, and now we're paying a price with burgeoning rates of autoimmune dis-ease, and in Scotland, suicides. It's just completely unacceptable, and we have to change it. So we're going to look at stories we tell ourselves about food. So you guys out there, if you want to pop it into the box, what's a story you've told yourself about food or alcohol?
Well, alcohol, I need it, to feel just because I'm shy and I want to be out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need alcohol to
make me more,
to make you more social.
Interesting, or to make me more social.
Okay, great, thank you for that. Anybody else?
Can't start the day without coffee.
That's a good one. I can't start the day without coffee. Anything else?
Food for energy.
I need food for energy. Mm-hmm. Aye, that's true. I would say that's probably a belief that a lot of people hold. I always say, somebody came in here right now and said, "You've won £1 million in the lottery." Do you think you'd go, "Oh, I'm too tired. Too tired." No, you wouldn't. And that's not food. So you can see how we can get energized by lots of other things, but this is the biggest controller of our thoughts and feelings and beliefs. So we've got, I need coffee to start the day. Is that for energy or to wake you up, or?
Just mostly for I like to think it's for energy, but probably it's because I've become so dependent on it. It's just a routine.
Okay. Yeah, routine, yep. And anything else in actual, what about, like, Christmas and New Year's a good one. Why do we have to eat crap at Christmas and New Year?
cultural factors, play a big part. If we're going out with our friends, we're kind of expected to do that. If we go to dinner, they've got to invite to dinner. It's awkward to be awkward, so they just do what they do.
We go along with what everyone else is doing. That's the whole message, isn't it, about creating healthy communities, is that we all need to be doing it together, because it's very difficult to sit and eat something really healthy if somebody else has got a bacon roll, which in actual fact, if it's we demonize certain foods, but that can be better than a lot of the other stuff that people are eating. But it is easier if we're all doing it together. And the communal eating that we have over there is such a beautiful social thing to do, and it's such a visual delight. Somebody was here at the weekend and you could tell didn't really like the food, which is bonkers for us, but also was like, well, I'm eating with my eyes here, because I could tell that the colours were beautiful. So it's where are we at? And also that whole, isolation that you can feel if people are on a healing journey and they're trying to eat what nobody else is eating. Is that healthy? Do you know what I mean? That can be really stressful. It might be okay for a week, but ask somebody to do that for a couple of years, that can be really challenging. So it's just easier if we all support each other, and I could say, come over, I'll cook tonight, and you know that you're going to get good quality food. I can come to yours. We all know, instead of going to somebody's house and getting a processed pizza and tinned peas. So if we do it as a community and we feed each other when we can. We were looking at Heal Scotland and doing a supper club initiative say you had 5 people that were all kind of on the same wavelength with what's healthy to eat. And then you just cook one day a week and share. And if you can go to each other's house, great. But if not, you just share the food. That's Kerry saying, I never drink Baileys, but drink a bottle at Christmas. Well, you've never met my sister, because if you met my sister, she drinks Baileys for breakfast with her morning coffee. That's true. I mean, and I do like the idea that you can just go, right, it's Christmas, let's let our hair down. But the reality is that these things are not a treat anymore. People are drinking every weekend now, and quite often every day. So what was when Christmas came around and you could spoil yourself, we're pretty much spoiling ourselves all the time. So it's kind of and the body doesn't break down overnight. It's when we're doing these things that don't serve us day after day after day after day, it takes us in the body in the wrong direction. And that goes for what we eat. It goes for what we think. Like obviously watching Joe last night, it's the same thing, same coffee, the same mug, the same kind, what we do, what we listen to, the same podcast. We're creatures of habit. And it was interesting with the Big 6 this morning, I forgot to do it. And I thought, you've not made that a habit. How quick and easy is that to do? Help your lymph along. It's something so simple, free, and can really assist the body. So I've just not been doing it enough to make it a habit, because you forget, right? Don't you? Especially if you've not done it enough for it to sink into your subconscious, then it's not automatic. And that's what we're looking at. So what about, is there anything else? What are you thinking that you really want to eat when you're not fasting?
I'm going to have some haggis.
Haggis?
Yeah, this is burnt too, yeah.
Mm.
So we can eat some haggis.
Neeps and white potatoes.
No. Haggis and neeps.
I love turnip as well, though.
I love
Mashed turnip. I love that.
And a wee drambuie
And a wee drambuie.
with cranky and cranky. As well. And then. When is it? Is that it's Saturday? It's Saturday. So that's going to happen on Saturday.
Uh-huh. So when it comes to addiction, you're better leaving things out completely. So if you're a sugar addict, a bread addict, an alcohol addict, if you're leaning on something like that, then when you're in a cleanse, like, so you could say, let's pay attention to January. That's quite easy to do. A lot of people now do dry January. They just take alcohol right out. It's easy. Again, it's that black and white line. Because what can happen is you just have one bit of sugar. Alcohol's a sugar addiction as well. And then that just takes you right off track. And having worked with loads of women at our gym, they went out at the weekend and then they're eating and their blood sugar was all over the shop for 2 or 3 days. It'd be Wednesday before they were actually ready and fit to look at what they were doing. And then it was Friday. And off the cycle went again. And that's really common. So in terms of prevention, that cycle has to get broken because you will pay a price for that at the end of the day. That's just the way it is. Because how can your garden survive all of that abuse? And the thing is, when our blood sugar's going up and down, that's when we crave and that's when we cave. Because if you're just like that, well, I'm quite like that, but actually I'm perfectly capable, strong enough, I'm perfectly able to, avoid it. But if you're in I've got a hangover, oh, I need to eat something, oh, I've got hangover food, we've all done it. That's when it starts to, blood sugar goes up and comes down, up and down, and then before you know it, you've lost control again. And it's all about the ability to control what you're putting in your mouth and through your eyes and through your ears in terms of prevention. And again, it's like, you don't have to be, I'm a big believer in the 80-20, but if you have addiction issues, it has to be black and white. So let's look at, is everybody completely clear on what foods you get fat from, what food you get protein from? Hi Emma, how you doing? And what the carbs are. Is everybody clear on that?
Can you talk about fats? Because there's quite a lot of controversy about what fats are healthy.
Yes, it's quite easy. If it sets at room temperature, it's saturated fat and it's safe to cook with. So if you're going to fry anything or roast anything, you want to be using only saturated fat is stable at high temperatures. So, and then you come to, so you've got monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and then monounsaturated. So they don't set, like coconut oil is like in Malta, it's never solid. It's so weird because obviously it's warm, but you can actually cook with that. It will set at a certain temperature. But olive oil and certainly seed oils, you should never be frying with them because they're unstable over 120 degrees. So, but they can still, I mean, a lot of the seed oils are rancid. I mean, they're just not even good to be in the body. Olive oil is great, obviously, but definitely just use it for your salad dressings and, pouring on things that need a wee bit of flavour. And again, it's quality. You go into the supermarket and there is such a range and quality. And you would think you could say, well, if I pay more for it, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the rule of thumb. Again, in Malta, I could just get it straight from the farm. And you can totally taste the difference. But yeah, so in terms of, it's omega-3, omega-6. These are the two main ones. And most of us are now far too high in omega-6. And we don't have enough omega-3 because for years we were taught fat further the arteries and nothing could be further from the truth. So we want to get the 3-6 balance. And according to Udo Erasmus, who wrote the 369, Good Fats, Bad Fats, I think that's what it's called, the body can make 6 and 9, but can't make 3. Although now that we're looking at the intelligence of the body, I'm not entirely sure that's true. But if we take that could be the case, that would mean that we would have to eat omega-3, saturated fats. And people are still, especially people my age and maybe 10 years younger, because it's just been battered into you that fat makes you fat and actually fat makes you thin. And carbs and sugar make you fat. Especially if you mix them with rancid fats, the body stores it. So your best sources, if you're a meat eater, They're obviously, actually lamb, it's a superfood. Venison is another organic, phenomenal, indigenous, local meat to eat. But your high sources are trout, mackerel, salmon, herring, super high in omega-3. A lot of fish are, but these are the top dogs when it comes to fats. And you can make them into patties. So it's a really nice way to, and then you've got all your nuts and seeds. And there's omega-3 in a lot of greens. It's just to get the quantity can be a challenge. And a lot of vegans and vegetarians that I know do not eat enough vegetables, nowhere near enough. I probably eat more vegetables than a lot of vegans because they tend to go to carbohydrate. They don't want to eat animals, which is fine. But then when they have that airport day, they end up eating a lot of bread or pasta. And again, depending on what blood group you are, that may or may not work for you. And let's take pasta as another example. It's been demonized as well. And yet you go in the blue zones, where is one of the blue zones? Sicily, where they eat pasta and drink red wine. Who doesn't want to go there? Because the quality of their grain. It's not genetically modified. It's hand, a lot of it's, they make it by hand. They make all their own bread by hand. There's something about the human energy going through things. We've turned to machines to make stuff. We want to make it faster. We want to make it cheaper. And we're paying the price for that now. Same with pizza. You know, pizza gets demonized as well because the crappy stuff that you get for 99 pence, it's a big bit of dough with cheese and a bit of tomato on the top. That is crap because guaranteed the flour that's used to make that base. But our festival, we had a young Polish girl who makes the most amazing pizzas, and she gets all her sourdough bases, her own flour, and puts delicious toppings on it. So, you know, you can talk about different foods, but I had a bit of pizza last night. Like, oh my God, you eat pizza? How could you? Keep away from me. But there's just such a variation in quality. And it's the same with alcohol, the same with wine, same with whiskies, same with beer. It's the quality a lot of the time that's the real issue, and the quantity that we then rip the arse out of it. And I always say there's two different diets as far as I'm concerned. There's the healing diet, where you really need to rein it in and get your gut and your garden back in order. And then there's the maintenance diet. And that's where you just maintain what you already have. And yeah, if you have a dessert, have it straight after your dinner so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar. And the body can cope with that quite a thing. No problem. The big problem comes when there's dysbiosis, massive dysbiosis and inflammation in the digestive system. And that's why fasting's great. You just take the food out and then you don't have to think about anything. And if you do that regularly, and Michael Mosley, God rest his soul, much as he pushed the vaccines, you have to thank him for getting the word out about intermittent fasting and the 5-2. Very powerful ways of managing your nutrition. When, as I was saying before, it's when you eat is every bit as important as what you eat.
A combination's not another thing. Combining.
100%, yeah. Fat and sugar, even natural sugars, that can ferment in the digestive system. And with the Gerson diet, there is no fat. And with the ketogenic diet, there is limited carbohydrate and certainly no sugar or crap. And really, if you eat a lot of healthy food, because the big thing is you don't want to be hungry, right? I mean, obviously you're going to go on a fast and you're like, well, I'm big and strong and I can ignore that hunger feeling, right, for however long you want to do it. Say 24 hours, say you throw in a 24-hour fast once a month. That's doable, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you can suck up and that's going to make a huge impact on you. But also with the 5-2, I thought was really interesting, taking it down to under 800 calories, I think you went up to, for 2 days of the week. That's another really powerful way to do it. And then obviously you have, I mean, some people, maybe it wasn't this retreat. Was it? No, it wasn't. It was the last retreat. They're on OMAD, 1 meal a day. So they don't eat. Oh, no, it was Fiona that was telling me. She just goes home after her work and eats whatever she wants. and that maintains her system. That wouldn't work for everyone, you know? So you have to find the thing that works for you. What is it that you're, and an awful lot of it is your lifestyle and your job, if you get kids. We have to be realistic here. Because what can happen is if it's like, this is the way you do it and there is no other way, and if you don't do it this way, you'll fail. If that's the approach that we take, that just locks tons of people out from even trying. So there's so many different ways to heal yourself, and that's what's confusing for people, because they want me to tell them what to do, because they're so already, usually, as I say, my clients are usually being diagnosed terminal. They're exhausted, they're terrified, they're just like, just tell me what to do. But if that can't fit into your lifestyle and how your stress levels, you might be hypoglycemic, and you know, your blood sugar, you get all dizzy and funny if you don't eat in the morning. Whereas for me, it's really simple to not eat in the morning. I'm not hungry. So working with your own intuition and your own kind of natural cycles makes complete sense. And what they say that, you know, breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and what we would call dinner like a pauper. So, I mean, that makes sense as well when you think about it, doesn't it? And I do like a big brunch. I think brunch is one of my favourite kind of meals, especially when John's making it. So yeah, the rule of thumb is no food 3 hours before you go to sleep, so that, because your sleep is your superpower. And when you're sleeping, the body goes through, the healing hormones flood in between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. But if you're not sleeping, then you're not going to get the benefit of it. We're not designed to be up half the night on our laptop or whatever. So,
sorry, is that the same as alcohol? So if you're going to be drinking, so just make sure you don't drink 3 hours before bed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying don't ever do it. Don't ever go out for your dinner at 10 o'clock when you're on holiday. Not that at all. But you know, if you're very unwell, if your body's really struggling, you have to give things up. I wish there was another way around it, but there just isn't. You have to stick to certain rules and boundaries until you can get the digestive system back into balance, until the body kicks in. And it will. I mean, there's that whole 2-year thing, like I was saying, where if we do something regularly enough over a couple of years, the body will be tricked into thinking, right, okay, that's what we do now. That's how we are now. And even with postmenopausal insulin resistance, which is really common, if your carbohydrate plummets 30%, they say if you get it down under, to your bite point for a couple of years, then you can retrain the body and start introducing it again, if you could be bothered. Me, I wouldn't be bothered with that. I'm just like, I know now what my carbohydrate bite point is. So, and I also know if I eat the wrong things. So it's up to you, but know that you can retrain the body and tell it what to do. And then obviously you get Alexa Joe's meditations, where people are having these real-time healings. And I'm interested, wondering if people have got a very bad lifestyle in terms of health, might be a fun lifestyle, but not in terms of health. Then if you go back to that, will the issues recur? I think we probably, it's lovely to think there'd just be this, yes, I got the miracle, I was healed. And then you stay like that for the rest of your life. We still don't know. We've got a lot to learn. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the stories. So let's look at the story about coffee. I need coffee in the morning. So let's look at Byron Katie's The Work. I need coffee, I need drambuie, I need haggis. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself, well, maybe you're not telling yourself you need it, but you're going to have it. And so the first question we ask around these stories is it true? Is it true that I need these things? Milk and tea is the one that always makes me laugh most, because I don't take milk and tea and I find it hilarious. Oh, I need milk in my tea. I need milk in my tea. You say that, Fiona?
My mother says that. Might be listening.
Oh dear. So I need milk in my tea. That's another one. Oh, I need bread with my soup. I need, what else do you say? I need
crisps with that booze.
Aye. I need crisps with my, what was that, sorry?
I need crisps and wine while I cook.
I need crisps and wine. Yeah, exactly. You see, these are stories. So the first thing you ask yourself is that true? Is it true?
No, it's comforting.
That's not the question.
Is it true that you need?
The question is, is it true that you need that? Absolutely, it's not true. It's bullshit. I'm not saying that you won't enjoy it when you do it. That's not the question. The question number 2 is, well, you guys, because very often when I do this, people say, well, yeah, it is true. It is, yes, it definitely is true. Like, for example, my partner doesn't understand me. Is that true? Yes. Question number 2 is, can you 100% know that that is true? Some people still want to hang on. So question number 3 is, who would you be without that thought? Feel your body when you're asking these questions. Don't listen to me. Tune into yourselves. That story, is that story serving you? Kerry's red wine with my blue cheese. Oh. You definitely do need that. That is true. It's absolutely not true, but it's as I say, that's not the point. Do you enjoy it? Yes, but that's not what we're asking. We're asking questions about the stories that we tell ourselves and that we believe. So question number 3 is, how does it make you feel when you choose to believe that thought? And question number 4 is, who would you be without that? Without that wee story that you made up to comfort yourself, that wee habit you've created. Who would you be without it? So let's do the turnaround on my partner doesn't understand me, because this is what we do, right? My partner doesn't understand me. So we do, once we've gone through these questions, we do what we call the turnaround. So my partner doesn't understand me becomes, I don't understand my partner. Ooh. And then turn it around again, and it becomes, I don't understand me. How does that feel? What's true? Is it your partner? What's the mind saying? But it is my partner. But can you see with that story that we've made up about ourselves, and I'm not saying you don't enjoy that, I enjoy it too, but when we keep saying, this is what I do when I do this, and this is what then we actually lock ourselves into that habit, which if at some stage you wanted to give up, can become very difficult because you've made it such a story, a strong story. And you've probably been telling people, this is what I do. This is how I do it. and I really enjoy it, and you should try it too. And then you repeat and you repeat and you repeat it until it's in your subconscious and absolutely locked in and fully believed. That's how we, and do you know that you can believe anything you want? So why don't we believe things that make us feel amazing? So that's Byron Katie's The Work. Is it true? Because there are 60,000 thoughts a day. One comes in and we're like, yeah, that one's definitely true. And then what do we do with it? Yeah. And then we're like, oh, I just make a nice meal there, and I had a lovely glass of wine and some crisps, and that coffee's so good. And we tell people, and that's what we do. We make these stories, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's completely human and normal. But if it came to the time where we're like, right, not having these things or not doing these things are a big problem for us, that's the addiction. An addiction to stories, let me tell you, I ran a retreat for 3 months. I know the addiction to the labels and the stories is hilarious because we don't even know we're doing it. Because we're creatures of habit, and that's what we do because it makes us feel comfortable, doesn't it? We're in our comfort zone. Oh, listen to my belly rumbling. We're in our comfort zone, and if we want, as Joe says, something different, what do we need to do? We need to do something different, don't we? Yeah, absolutely. So you'll hear, after spending some time with me, you'll hear when your friends say something and you'll be like, that's a story. I just made it up. It's not true. Imagine how annoying it is to have me as a friend. So, yeah, run it through. Very often that one first question, is it true? I'll tell you right now, no, it's not. So that can be enough to knock you back into present mode. But sometimes you have to run it through all the questions. So then what we do, we look at a thing called access consciousness. And we know, again, when we ask a question, instead of making a flat negative statement. So what's the most powerful affirmation you can say? How does it start? I am. Yep. Thank you.
If it's to be, it's up to you. If it's to be, it's up to you.
No, the most powerful statement you can make starts with I am. I am. What do you say about yourself? Do you say, I am starving? Anybody ever say that?
Yeah.
I am knackered. I am really knackered. What else do you say?
I can't be bothered.
It's not saying that.
Mhm. So instead of, would you mind shutting that window for me, hon? Can you reach it? There's nothing there. It's beautiful. I can't reach these windows. So instead of making a negative affirmation, and there's a rule of thumb now, if you don't want it, don't say it. And when you are starving or ravenous, are you really? Think about these boys that were out in the Andes for all these weeks without food. You just want to eat, don't you? But what information are you sending through the body? You're sending, there's a problem here. I am starving. I am ravenous. So what are you making yourself?
Walking.
You're making yourself more ravenous, more starving, more tired. The amount of people that say, oh, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. My son does it all the time. I'm like, you need to stop that chat. Because you are affirming. Remember the cells? I am this. So if you want to use the most powerful affirmation known to man, make sure at the end of it you've got something that you really want. So I am starving. If we so we loosen the energy around that by turning it into a question. So I am starving would become what?
Am I starving?
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, you can watch the rest in replay, no problem. What would the question be?
Am I starving?
No, sorry, I should have. It's got to be an open question, not a closed question.
I am not hungry. I am not starving.
No, we're turning it into a question.
What do you feel like to be starving?
Yes. No, I wouldn't put starving at the end. I would put, what does it feel like to nourish my body with nutrient-dense food? What would it take for me to eat some nutrient-dense food? This is supposing that you actually are going to eat. What would it take for me to stop negatively affirming I'm starving? And guess what happens when you ask a question like that? What happens in the brain? Do-do!
You feel like eating that.
And the brain lights up and starts to help you look for the solutions to your questions. It's called access consciousness. So I am knackered. What would it become?
Are you energized?
Nope.
How do you feel?
Yes. What would it take for me to wake up in the morning full of energy? How does it get better than this? How does it get easier than this? How does more energy flow through my body? Can you feel that? Say I am knackered. And say, what would it take for me to have boundless energy? How does the body feel?
Just lifted around. That was bizarre, isn't it?
What you're saying, I mean, your heart, they say, is 50,000 times more powerful than your words. But your words are powerful, especially when you keep on banging on about the same thing. My pal, her favourite thing is, it's a nightmare, it's a nightmare. Oh, really? That's not a nightmare. Too many choices.
So, can you do I am overwhelmed?
I am over. Well, yeah, of course. And that's not to say that you're not feeling overwhelmed. It's not to deny the fact that you don't have enough energy or don't have enough whatever, coffee. It's to say, if I keep repeating this story, I'm going to get more of that story, because that's how energy works. It checks and matches. So we're like, right, okay, let's start being mindful about what we're saying. And that's going to change what we're putting into the field. So I'm feeling overwhelmed. What would it take for me to have, for example, great time management? What would it take for me to say no in a kind and firm way? So what's causing the overwhelm? You could look into that and go, well, it could be young kids, for example. If you've had kids, you've probably felt overwhelmed. So it could be that when you ask that question, somebody moves in next door to you and starts taking your kids for a walk. Remember how I got the salon in the sun? You don't need to figure it out how it's going to happen. It may be that a blog comes in or somebody says, you should read that, you should watch that. When you start asking the right questions, you are going to get the answers. It's the law. So instead of these negative affirmations, then ask the question, what would it take? Where could I go that would fill my heart with purpose? So it's these open questions. Is that clear?
Yeah.
It can be as simple as, how does it get better? If you're having a hard time, how does it get better than this? How does it get even better than this? Me and my pal out in a speedboat with champagne going, how does it get even better than this? Because obviously we put a cap on how good we could feel. Well, that's because we don't really like to ask for much, do we? Well, most of us don't. And we feel that, well, that's kind of enough. So we don't like to expand into possibility and potential of what else is possible. What else is possible for me? What would it take for me to effortlessly fast 1 day a month for 24 hours? And the reason why you would do that is because you think, because I'm giving my body its prevention. I'm giving my body back all that 80% of energy that day. So most of us are driven by our why. And I'm sure you've seen people that lose weight for their wedding. So the wedding is the thing. And people want to look good in the photo. So for that one day, they target that and they very often succeed. Or if you're training for a marathon, it's a one event, you do all the things that you do. But what we're looking at here is more general. And that's what can, there's no end in sight. And that's why it's really helpful to break it down and say, right, okay, well, this is what I'll do on a monthly basis to help my cells. So mind you, when I'm going to put in I'm reminding my phone about the big 6, I'm doing my 20-minute meditation. I've got all the other things that I do. I think that's a nice couple of wee additions that I can put in. So that you have to decide again what time you have. And, you know, the true saying in the world is your health is your wealth. And I'm sure you've seen that. You probably see people that have been unwell around you. And you just think how lucky you are to even be well enough to come here. That's a level of health that a lot of people simply don't have. And then to do all the mad things that we've been doing, clambering into that river, hiking up there, going into the waterfall. Lots of people don't have that. So it's about being a bit grateful about what we have. And then it's okay to build on that, but I want more. I want more energy. I want more vitality. I want more clarity. Because brain fog is obviously a big issue for a lot of people now as well. So does anybody have brain fog? Fasting obviously is fantastic for that. And intermittent fasting is really good for that as well. And obviously I'm saying when you eat is as important as what you eat. But the reality is sometimes you have to look at what you eat too. If there's a lot of repair has to happen in the body. And also as women, it's mainly all women in this room, but for men that are listening as well, I know that there's a couple of guys doing it. For women, you're looking at your cycles, obviously, but also you're like, right, am I menstruating? Am I pregnant? Am I breastfeeding? Are my hormones all over the place? Am I perimenopausal? Am I menopausal? Am I postmenopausal? Am I getting divorced? Am I moving house? Am I getting changing job? Am I moving country? Am I moving? You know, all these things require different levels of energy, don't they? So when you understand that, you can preempt grief, losing somebody. You know, that can knock you right off your feet, and you can have completely different nutritional requirements there, because that's not the time when you want to be trying to change everything. In fact, they say categorically don't change anything major in the first year if you're in grief, because you could regret it because you're in a different state. So when I call it the mental marathon, if you're running a mental marathon, and grief, moving house, moving job can be these mental marathons, and divorce is definitely up there as well. Fuel yourself, fats to help deal with that. Or if you know it's coming up, then you can really look after yourself so that you're not cold water, obviously very good for that as well, get your stress levels down. So it's just a case of going, right, okay, don't look too far in the future. Deal with January. And think, right, okay, well, how's January going to look for me, and how am I going to look after my microbiome and my nervous system, and what can I bring in that's going to make me feel better and not worse? Because you start to bring in too many protocols, you'll just piss yourself off. And then you'll not do them, and then you'll feel worse. So by all means, just say, have your, like my rule when I was starting cold water was that if I was in Argyll, I had to go in. And that was a rule I made up by myself, because what I found was if I put it off, I didn't do it. And I was like, no, you need to break this habit. And I was doing a neuroscience course at the time, so I realised you've got to just repeat until this body gets this message. We're doing this. That's it. You have to be the big one. And you have to tell the body, sorry, mate, I'm taking over again. You've had it your own way long enough. So that's the 2 tips. Byron Katie's the work. Listen to the stories you're telling yourself and ask the right questions. What would it take for me to whatever it is that you want? And you can take some time carving out what that is. And in terms of health, obviously, nervous system, everybody needs to look after their nervous system and stay calm. So many people are in stress. Does food cause that, or does the stress cause the food imbalances? It's the chicken and the egg, definitely. But you can certainly, the food is a foundation for all the other things that will happen, because you'll be so chuffed with yourself that you've made a beautiful, healthy meal. The soup can keep in your fridge for 2 or 3 days. So, you can make it in bulk, and even you can put it in the freezer, your own stuff. So when my aunt was really unwell, I used to, if I was going away anywhere, I would always had homemade stuff for her in the freezer, because what was happening was she was getting these foods that get sent to you, and she was miserable. If you're unwell, the one nice pleasure you've got is nice food. So I was making sure that, because you can unfreeze soup and it still tastes nice. There's some things that don't freeze particularly well. And she doesn't like carrots frozen, even in mince. But you can freeze them. You can freeze them in. She can find a way, is my point, that will make you feel empowered instead of disempowered. And then you just, when I did keto at first, I was like, what am I going to eat? And so I just decided to eat the same thing every day until I got into ketosis. That was really my main challenge. Sorry. Yeah, so I ate the same thing every day, and then I started to tweak what I was eating, because I just wanted to get into ketosis and stay in it. And then obviously what happened was I wasn't hungry, hardly at all. You could easily see how when you're doing a strict ketogenic that you can do 1 meal a day, certainly no more than 2. So again, and I was living in Malta at the time, and I love salads, and so it was quite a hard change for me to make, but I was having some hormone issues, and so I thought, I'm going to do that, I'm going to try, and I like to try things in my own body, and did it for a month, and I was just blown away by the fact you were just never hungry. It's the fat that switched the satiety off, so you're just not hungry. So again, for brain tumours, they've got quite a lot of great success with that. Fits, people that have been taking fits, just get them on the ketogenic. You've got John's bitch. Oh, and darling stew ready in the fridge for you. Yeah! And lamb broth in the Instapot. I'll have to go to bed smelling the deliciousness, but thank you all. These lives help keep me focused. That's great. Yeah, you need to keep focused. It's easy for us here because we're all doing it together, but it is more challenging at home, but good for you. So we're going to finish off with doing a little bit of chanting, because we have been talking a lot about vibration, the vibration of the body, and how we feed the body with certain, it's not just food, sound comes in, feeds the body, with different frequencies, but using our own voice, and in particular humming for the vagus nerve. We know that takes us out of fight or flight. So I'm just going to start, and everybody just please, we're just going to hum initially. Please feel free to do it at your own pace. Maybe you can do it for longer than others. It doesn't matter. Just hum, hum, hum until we stop. What I'll do is we're going to change key. We're going to come up, and I want you to feel in again. Do it with your eyes closed, because then you can tune into what energy center you think you're humming to. And remember, underneath what Joe's been kind of suggesting is happening is that the information is coming in from the field into the body. But obviously we're putting information out into the field as well. And so when we hum into a certain area, we're automatically connecting to the organs underneath there. And not just the organs, the emotional, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. So tune in so that even if you ever have any pain or discomfort in your digestive system, you can actually hum to your cells, hum into that area. And again, it's a bit like letting go. You can drop in there and really disperse the energy, and you're going to feel better. So just wait till Lifty comes back from the toilet and we will get started. Okay, so just kind of follow my lead, and as I say, close your eyes and tune into the body and see what your experience is. So we're just going to start. Okay, we're going to go a little bit higher. Again, really tune in, see where you can feel it. A little bit higher. So now just freestyle your way up and down and see where you can feel it. And then just taking some nice deep breaths. What can you feel? Okay, guys, that's us finished with our live from Skye. We'll see you again really soon. See you on Friday. Ciao. Hope you enjoyed that.